Hello, today, I will give an overview of WordPress admin area. At the end of the installation process that I showed you in previous videos, you're either sent automatically to the default login page, or there will be a link to take you there. For login to admin area, if you installed WordPress in a subdirectory, you'll add /wp-admin at the end of that subdirectory URL. Logging in is a matter of entering the username and password you chose during the installation process. If you forget or can't find your password, there's a link on the login page for setting a new password. You can use either your email address or your username to set a new password. In either case, the instructions for setting the new password are sent to that email address, so always make sure it's a functioning address. Logging into WordPress means you're going into the administrative area of your website, the back end. This is where you create content, update content, control the look of your site, add or remove functionality, and much more. The first time you log into WordPress, you get a welcome message at the top of the dashboard screen. The most important tool for getting around WordPress is the main admin menu, which is on the left side of all admin screens. The first level of the main admin menu shows all the admin sections. When you're in one of the sections, its submenu items display as well. When you mouse over any other menu item, you see a flyout menu with all the links for that section. The toolbar is at the top of WordPress admin screen. The toolbar provides additional navigation for the admin area, including, from left to right, the following: links to WordPress.org, the codex, the support forums, and a feedback page. A link to the front end of your site. An icon indicating how many comments await moderation. A quick link menu for creating a new post, adding media, creating a new page, or adding a new user. Your user display name, your profile photo, and links to your profile and to log out. As with so many elements of WordPress, this toolbar will vary according to what theme you have and which plugins. You can turn off the toolbar for the front end of your site but not for the back end or admin area. And, as mentioned at the end of this lesson, there are plugins to give you control over what's on the toolbar. The dashboard. Whenever you log into WordPress, the first screen you see is the dashboard, which is the homepage for the administration area. In default mode it consists of 5 modules, or widgets. Here they are referred to as boxes. You saw something of the dashboard earlier when you saw the Welcome to WordPress box. It's meant for beginning users, although many people leave it in place permanently as a reminder of functions they can perform. The other 4 boxes on the page basically summarize what's going on with your site and in the world of WordPress. Customizing admin screens. Here are some common ways you can structure admin screens to suit your needs, using methods built into WordPress. Minimizing boxes. To minimize or collapse a box, click anywhere on its header area. To restore the box, click again in the header area. This is handy when you need the box out of the way temporarily. After you minimize the box, it stays that way even if you leave the screen and come back. It won't restore until you click the header. Hiding or showing entire boxes using screen options. You can completely hide, or show, a box from the screen options button at the top right of the screen. Dropping down this area allows you to pick and choose from the boxes available for that screen. Checking a box makes the element appear, and unchanging it makes it disappear. What's nice is that this happens in real time, so you can see what the change looks like before closing screen options. Repositioning boxes. The third way to customize the display of boxes is to physically move them around the page. All you do is mouse over the header of the box and you'll see the cursor change to the hand icon or crossed arrows icon, depending on your operating system. At that point, you can click and drag. As the box moves from its original location, a rectangle with dashed borders appears when your cursor approaches a point where the box can be dropped. Changing the number of columns. The fourth way to customize the admin screen is to change the number of columns available to display boxes. By default, WordPress displays admin screen boxes in 2 columns on a desktop, laptop, or large tablet, whereas smaller tablets and smartphones default to 1. On most screens, the only choice is between 1 or 2 columns, but some offer up to 4 columns. You can find this under Screen Options. Because WordPress now adjusts to 1 column automatically if your browser is below a certain width, the column feature is less important, but there may be situations in which you want this kind of manual control. Basic admin settings. WordPress has dozens of administrative settings at your disposal, but you'll probably use most of the default settings for as long as you run your site. This lesson familiarizes you with the pages on the default settings menu and shows you how to change those truly important few settings. The settings menu. This is the settings menu when you first install WordPress. Depending on your theme or installed plugins, this settings menu may show more choices. Now walk through each of these settings pages and focus on the key settings you may want to change at this point. Settings General. There are only a few settings here that you should need to touch after installing WordPress, and a few you shouldn't touch unless you know what you're doing. Site Title. Before you launch your site, make sure you've decided on the title. It's an important part of your identity, and search engines use this as well. If you change in midstream, it can make things difficult. Tagline. The tagline is meant to be a more descriptive phrase about your site and is often displayed by themes somewhere near the site title. It will also get used by SEO plugins, so you want to make sure that it provides useful information about what you do or what your site is about. WordPress address/site address. Do not touch these settings. Putting the wrong information into the fields shown in Figure 5-4 will break your site. These are created during installation, so you have no need to touch them. Although these are often the same URL, they have different functions. The WordPress address tells WordPress where to look for files, whereas the site address tells it what to use when constructing URLs. If you decide to change the domain name of your site down the road, do not simply change the domain name here. There's more to it than that. Look up Move WordPress Site in Google to find instructions. Email address. This email is used by WordPress to send out notifications, such as automated WordPress updates, new users being added, or new comments being posted on the site. Many plugins also use this address for their settings, such as sending out a form or accessing PayPal. Plugins enable you to change the address in their settings. Membership. Leave the box. If you want visitors to become users or members of your site, you should use a membership plugin rather than simply checking this box and trying to manage user registrations. Without a plugin to help manage things, you're likely to get spam subscribers. Time zone. Change the time zone to match your region so that dates and times are accurate when you publish or schedule content on your site. WordPress makes this easy by providing a drop-down menu of major cities around the world. Just find a city in your time zone, click Save Changes, and the correct date and time should show up in the time zone setting area. Settings Writing. There's nothing to deal with on this screen when you start your site. The default post category is important, but you have no categories to choose from yet. Managing post categories and tags covers the setting. Settings Reading. One of the key settings on this screen is for your homepage or front page. It controls what displays when people enter your domain name in their browser. However, what setting to choose depends on what your theme needs, as well as having any pages to choose from, so this setting is discussed later at different places in the book. Search Engine Visibility. Checking the box tells search engines not to index your entire site. Depending on what you chose during installation, This box could be unchecked or checked when you first visit this screen. The default in WordPress is to have it unchecked. Blocking search engines can be valuable while you build your site, especially if you build on a test site with a different domain name. But if you do check the box, be sure to uncheck it before your site goes live. You must keep two things in mind about this setting. Visibility refers to search engines, not to whether anyone can see your site. Search engines do not have to obey the setting, it's up to each search engine whether they honor the request. Settings discussion. Discussion is just another word for comments, and the settings on this screen default to the most common way of handling comments. Comment authors must submit both a name and email address. All comments are held for moderation, unless the visitor has already had one comment approved. Comments are displayed in threaded fashion, that is, if someone directly replies to a particular comment, then that reply is shown below the original comment. You will be emailed whenever a comment is posted and whenever one is held for moderation. A comment is held for moderation if it has 2 or more links in it, a sign of spam. This is the standard for comments on a website, so unless you have good reasons, just leave these settings on default. Default post settings. You must understand that particularly for the third checkbox, allow people to post comments on new articles. The default setting is checked, which means that all posts and pages will have a comments area. Typically, you don't want a comments box on pages, so it might be tempting to uncheck this setting, but then any posts you create after that won't have comments. My recommendation is to leave this box checked. It's simple to remove comments from individual pages, or posts, even large numbers of them. Settings media. These settings affect the media files you upload to WordPress. Image sizes. When you upload an image to WordPress, a set of smaller versions is created based on the sizes you see in Figure 5 to 10. You can change these dimensions, but a lot depends on the particular theme you use. For example, if the theme has a wide area for actual content, you might want to increase the medium setting to 400px or more, or a theme may create its own versions of images to fit particular layouts for that theme. It makes sense not to touch these dimensions until you know whether they need changing and, most important, what to change them to. Settings permalinks. A default link to a WordPress web page looks like this: http://yourdomainname.com/p=8723. It's nicer for visitors and better for search engines if these links have words relating to the topic of the particular page. That's what the permalink settings enable you to do. Working with permalinks, however, is no quick or easy decision and can have negative consequences if you do it incorrectly. Profile settings. The profile page is where users control personal preferences for the admin area and information for the site in general. For example, if your posts display the author's name, this is where you set what name displays. You can access the profile page from the top right area of the toolbar and from the user's submenu on the main menu. There are 3 key items in profile settings that you need to pay attention to at this point. Toolbar. This setting determines whether the toolbar displays on the front end of the website while logged in. The option is turned on by default. Although you can turn off the toolbar on the front end, there is no option to turn it off on the back end, that is, on admin screens. Display name publicly as. Although the username you entered during installation can never be changed, your profile has fields for a first name, last name, and nickname. The nickname is required and by default WordPress adds in your username, but you can change that on this screen. After you have at least one name other than the username, you can change the setting display name publicly as. This setting controls how WordPress lists you in various places around the website. The most obvious is on posts and pages for which you're the author. Password strength indicator. The profile page enables users to change their passwords. To try and ensure they don't choose bad passwords, WordPress provides a strength indicator that tracks the quality as the new passwords are entered. Figure 5 to 14 shows the 4 levels of strength and an example of a password that would trigger each level. The profile page enables users to change their passwords. To try and ensure they don't choose bad passwords, WordPress provides a strength indicator that tracks the quality as the new passwords are entered. WordPress also provides instructions on how to make passwords strong. One thing you should add to those instructions is to not make the password a natural language word, a word you would find in a dictionary or use in speaking to someone. The more random a password, the better. This video ends here. Thanks for your attention and see you in the next videos.